All of the doors she had come across before that moment had been normal doors. They always led to miraculous places, but their commonality in the face of being out of place was what set them apart. This double door, however, was massive and intricately carved, with images of skeletons dancing with dragons and wind creatures snatching up people in their claws. It would have been terrifying to anyone else, but to Olive, the imagery only heightened her need to know what was beyond them. Somehow she knew that he was there, inside, and she didn't know whether to knock or just let herself in. She also thought of how strange it was that the doors were where she found them, in the space directly behind her room, a space she had traversed a dozen times or more without ever having seen them. She took a deep breath and pushed her way in. The room looked almost as though it was as big as the rest of the manse combined. There were curtains and candelabra and intricately wrought furniture. She wondered who the man had been in his life to have such wealth in the afterlife. She wondered, too, with it all at his disposal, why he seemed so sad. She walked through the room, admiring the art and tapestries, touching the wood carvings in the arms of the chairs, and feeling the plush carpets under her feet. She spun around in this miraculous wonderland with a broad smile on her face, and suddenly came into contact with something fleshy. She turned, and her smile broadened, if it was even possible. There, before her, stood the man, looking terrified.
Please don't go, sir. And I do beg your pardon for rudely intruding into your private space. And what a magnificent space, I might add, sir. But please, I've been looking for you for weeks. I missed your presence, and I suddenly feel so alone in my wing of the home. But you've been so close this whole time. Right behind my room, as it were. Please, sir, allow me to stay. Tell me your story. Talk to me. Tell me anything. But please don't leave again. You may have wanted to do me harm at one point. I saw that in your eyes when we first met. But there must be a reason why. Please, I'm here for you. Let us converse and see if we can't come to a mutual understanding.
The man's face calmed, and his fright turned to confusion, and then to curiosity. He reached out his hand timidly and tried to touch Olive's shoulder. She stood her ground, but just before he touched her shoulder, he stopped. She could tell that he was pressing forward, trying with all his might to touch her, but he came short a few inches, as though there was some kind of protective barrier around her. She wondered if he would have killed her had she been like the other members of the family, all of whom mysteriously died in the wing. She looked around, almost as if she would find them amongst the artifacts of his room. You're different from the rest. Why? His voice was soothing and deep. It sounded wonderful in the vastness of the room around them. Olive smiled and walked over to take a seat in a chair that was near them. He watched her, still curious, then took a seat across from her, abruptly looking angry again.
I'm sorry, sir. I can sit someplace else.
Olive went to stand, but he held up a hand and shook his head. He motioned for her to stay in the seat, never taking his eyes off her.
My name is Olive, sir. Simply Olive. I'm an orphan and was brought here by the lord and lady of the house. It seems they found themselves in some kind of trouble, and somehow my being here has eased this trouble, and so I am to live here until I'm 18. 2 more years, it would seem, and that's how long you'll be here living with me, so I only thought it proper that we get to know each other. I don't mean to pry. Please only tell me what you would like, but I really would like to get to know all about you. Were you once the lord of this house? Your room here is unlike any other place I've ever seen.
Lord? No, never. He looked away from her for the first time. It seemed to her he was lost in his own mind, watching a story unfold before him. He looked so very sad. Allow me to tell you a story, Olive. Then, if you haven't been frozen with fright, we could talk about a mutual understanding, as you put it.
Very good, sir. I'm sure I'll hang upon every word.
Indeed. Very well. As you might have imagined, I was once a man. I lived near this manse, although at the time it was only just being built. It would have been 70 years ago, perhaps longer, but not much. I was a man in love with the most beautiful and delightful being the world has ever known, or will ever know for that matter. She was my entire world, and we did everything together, went everywhere together. My depth of love for her may truly have been greater than any man had felt up to that point in history, but it was the very love that made me what I am today. Strange, isn't it? Stories tell the power of love, but none tell the danger of loving too much or too deeply. My love and I enjoyed the outdoors, loved the wilderness, loved laying in the grass, loved walking through the forest. This land, however, is very old, older than the men that walk across it, and has seen many atrocities through the millennia. These atrocities have a way of sinking into the land and feeding beings that have been here longer than any of us could ever comprehend. It was especially true on this land. It was cursed, the land this manse was built on. The villagers all knew it. We knew it. But we had science by our side, and we didn't believe. We had our religion, mind you, but somehow the light of God didn't shine as brightly as that of Aristotle and the like. We were adventurers exploring the unknown with torch, bravery, and love. We were fools. We came here with a group of friends, 2 of whom were in university. They were studying the history of the land and had compiled a great many stories of what happened in this area to give the cursed mantle. We wanted to prove to local villagers that stories of the past would teach lessons about living with the land, not of the devils that lie beneath it. We were told not to venture forth after dark, and of course we didn't heed these warnings. One day we came out with our kit, set up camp very near this location. The manse was still being planned, with only some of the foundation having been laid. Construction came rife with casualties that the villagers blamed on the spirits of the land, but the superstition will never stop progress or greed in the hearts of men. So we camped on the outskirts of the construction area. We were here only 2 nights before we began to go mad. My friends disappeared at night, one the first night, another the second. It was only after that we decided to leave and get help, perhaps find a search party to find our friends. We were here too long. The land had already claimed us. We traveled in every direction for days, every time not getting anywhere, always coming back to the same spot we camped in, and every night another friend was taken by the dark. My love, she was so frightened, and as every day passed I became more frantic with the desire to save her, to keep her safe. I was determined we would leave alive and never return. I was wrong. After a week, it was only she and I who were left. It was night, and I vowed that whatever came for our friends would face me, and we would have at it. My fear for the safety of my love was so deep that it matched my love for her. The combination of the two became a rage that I can't even explain. I was mad with it, and when the dark came, it distracted me by using that rage against me. I heard the screams of my love, and I turned in time to see the darkness hurt her. It tore her apart as she screamed for me to help her, and I stood there helpless. I felt my heart burst, quite literally, I'm afraid. It was too much for anyone to bear, and my body died there on the spot. It was then that I realized that I was too a spirit, and I was bent on revenge. I followed the darkness that took my love and wound up here, in this room. It just appeared in front of me. By this time, my rage was so complete that I was the very embodiment of it, a force that was beyond that of the dark spirit that took my love. I found it in this room, and it feared me. It knew as I entered the mistake that it had made, and as I took its life, slowly, causing it as much pain as I could understand its feeling, I saw it hit Sri. I saw that it too was being that was never human, but had been here in the land for eons. Humans came and destroyed the land around the area and destroyed its love. It didn't feel the same way as us, the feelings this being half its kin and I just describe as love, but they are incomprehensible. As I felt its life ebbing away, I realized that this manse was destroying the last refuge that being had. If the manse was built and humans resided within, the creature would have been destroyed, after seeing all of its kin also destroyed. It killed the invader just as any man would kill someone to protect his family, just as I killed the being in the worst possible way, as revenge for the pain my love felt at its hands. Because I died in such a way, however, so connected to the feelings of revenge, fear, and hatred, so connected to the feelings of this earth, human feelings, I could not move on. My love moved on. She went forward and was forever taken from me. I can never again feel her touch, hear her voice, or enjoy her presence. She is sealed for me, and I did it to myself. My thirst for revenge overtook me. I waited here in this room for the manse to be built, vowing to take my revenge out on the family who built the home. That I have done, killing 15 of them before they stepped, allowing anyone to stop and stay in this wood. I can't venture beyond, however. I'm trapped here, tethered forever to the vicinity of this room. That is why, Olive, I tried time again to kill you. I was filled once again with the frustration and anger when I couldn't harm you. You must have felt me. I saw you react to my most profound feelings of hate and anger, but I was never able to come close to you. I still cannot. I don't know who you are or what you are, but you are keeping me from my assigned purpose on this planet. Leave. Without another word, he stood up and walked away from her. Olive, with tears in her eyes, stood and reached out to him.
Wait, sir. At least tell me your name.
But he was already gone.